Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
A driver barrels into a brand new home and then takes off. May not be hard to spot her car if you're next to her on the road.
They're stuck at home. People living in one community can't leave because of flooding that has been around for days.
But we're going to begin with a school board president ousted in Oakland County over a mask controversy. Off the top tonight at 6, it happened after the president reported a list that was circulating in Bloomfield Hills.
And it labeled nearly 100 families as anti-maskers. Last night, the controversy came to a head at the school board meeting. Local 4 defender Sean Lay has been following the story from the start. Sean, things really got heated.
And Karen, no one's happy about this. People on that list, they're absolutely upset. Parents, and the board president says some students were on the list. The parent who made the list feels falsely accused of wrongdoing. Police said she did nothing wrong. Even the board says the board president, how he chose how to handle this led to even more drama. Here's how the board president, now former board president, responded.
It's amazing that in the era when we tell our students that if they see something, say something, we do not expect the opposite.
Now, former Bloomfield Hills High School Board President Paul Colin says it was his duty to report a list naming 97 district families called the anti-mask list, made by a parent identifying families believed to be anti-maskers. Those on the list called it a burn list and bullying.
The goal right now of me is to make sure that all of this from a community perspective stops. Posting things on social media, sending things out that can be considered by anyone as a hate crime. I stand by what I did.
Colin was voted out as board president last night. The board says he violated district policy by not telling them he went to police with the list. And police began contacting parents who shared the list, taking the school board by complete surprise.
We had to hear about it from frantic community members who were being investigated by police.
I think we're sending a horrible message to our community and students by what you're doing to me.
The Local 4 defenders have the police report that shows both Colin and Superintendent Patrick Watson went to police, turning over screen grabs and other evidence. Police found there is no wrongdoing by the person who made the list.
I am on the list.
Parent Yana Ben Ezra says she's not an anti-masker. She's upset that Colin was ousted as board president.
I always thought the main concept was see something, say something. He saw something and he said something. Like, how could you be punished for doing the right thing? That's what just my jaw dropped when I found out about the news.
Guys, it's important to point out, we had a long conversation with Bloomfield Township Police when we first broke this story. They said they talked to lots of people involved, including the person who made the list. They said no threats to the people on the list were ever made. The person who compiled the list, again, did no wrongdoing. 7 p.m. tonight, though, this is not going away. This is at the football game at Bloomfield Hills High School. There will be a rally in support of now the former board president. We're live tonight. Sean Lay, Local 4 News Defenders.
And the story will continue tonight, that's for sure. All right, thank you, Sean. A woman who helped lead the state through the pandemic is stepping down.
Michigan's top doctor, Dr. Janae Caldoon, is leaving her post at the end of the month. State says Dr. Caldoon has taken a new job outside state government. Details will be announced, we're told, in the coming weeks, but she has served as the chief medical executive now for 2 years. Of course, bringing us all those updates on the virus during the governor's COVID briefings. In a release, Governor Whitmer says she wishes she could keep Dr. J at the helm, but wishes her well on what's next.
In her place, Governor Whitmer appointed Dr. Natasha Bagdasarian. She currently serves as the state's senior public health doctor and oversaw the COVID testing strategy for Michigan. The state says it will start a nationwide search to find a permanent chief medical executive. All right, now to the latest coronavirus numbers as the spread of the virus does continue.
State reporting a two-day total of 6,080 new cases, so averaging now, again, over 3,000 cases a day. And we've lost 82 more Michiganders to the virus. 56 of that total comes from a review of vital records. Pfizer booster shots are available now to anyone in the eligible groups, at least 6 months past their second dose. That includes frontline workers, people over the age of 65, residents of long-term care facilities, and those 18 and up who have underlying medical problems. Michigan Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib making national headlines, this time for what she said about Israel on the floor of the U.S. House. The only Palestinian member of Congress called it an apartheid state, bringing cries of anti-Semitism from some. Rod Maloney has the comments and the reaction. Rod?
Earlier this week, Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and several of her congressional colleagues were able to strip out funding for the Iron Dome, the Israeli defense system. But it came back up again yesterday in a new bill, and she again was against that bill, but did so in a way that has brought her considerable scorn.
We cannot be talking only about Israelis' need for safety at a time when Palestinians are living under a violent apartheid system.
There, the Congresswoman advocated voting against $1 billion for the missile system that successfully shot down hundreds of rockets fired from Gaza into Israel last May. Tlaib went on to say it was a manufactured crisis. Several Jewish members of Congress immediately denounced Tlaib's comments. Michigan Representative Andy Levin voted for the funding and had this to say about Tlaib's remarks.
She talks about Israel in a way that I don't disagree with strongly. We respect each other, we disagree, we talk about our differences.
Rabbi Asher Lopatin is the executive director of the Jewish Community Relations Council here in Metro Detroit.
There's still terrorism coming from Gaza and coming from the West Bank. To call Israel an apartheid state is just to use nasty language that is designed to put the Jewish state outside of, the realm of morality.
And he says he's deeply disappointed in Tlaib.
And I don't think she thinks he's an anti-Semite, but the language she uses is anti-Semitic. And that's what's so sad. And she could be such an important voice in bringing Palestinians and Israelis together.
Yet the Congresswoman also responded to Local 4 today.
These are not my words. These are the words of leading human rights organizations. I'm just repeating them.
The measure overwhelmingly passed the House, 420-9. There were 2 present votes. One of those was cast by New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. In Dearborn, Rod Maloney, Local 4.
Now, earlier in the year, President Biden assured Israel's leadership the Iron Dome funding would come. Last night, Israel's Prime Minister, Naftali Bennett, thanked Congress for its vote.
Oakland County deputies need your help to find a driver who plowed into a newly built home and then took off. Deputies say the woman lost control on Going Street in Pontiac, then crashed right into a bedroom. Investigators think she may have been speeding and trying to avoid a truck parked across the street. Minutes later, someone picked the woman up and drove off. The woman was driving a red Ford Escape or Mercury Milan hybrid, and it will have damage to the front. The home was unoccupied. No estimate on what it will cost to fix.
People in one downriver community are stuck at home because of the floodwaters from this week's rain, just not going away. Cars can't get through the water in this mobile home park, and as Priya Mann reports, people living there fear things could actually still get worse.
This street looks more like a river in this mobile home community in Flat Rock. While the water has receded a bit, families here have been dealing with it for 3 days now.
I tried walking through it and it went past my knees.
Brittany Babick says their street flooded when the rain started coming down midweek.
Nobody can go to work on this street. School, my mother-in-law couldn't take her kids to school or anything, couldn't even go to the buses because it was all just like this times 10.
She recorded the rising water.
Yeah, actually we're stuck. We can't leave the driveway, but.
Her neighbor had no choice but to trudge through the flooded street.
It upsets me that I haven't been here for so long, and it's just they haven't fixed it yet.
Leonard Gillum has lived here for more than a decade and says flooding is a reoccurring problem.
We can fix this. I mean, we pay taxes. Everyone does.
Country Meadows Mobile Home Park is on the border of Flat Rock and Huron Township. The Department of Public Works in Huron Township says the mobile home park is responsible for drainage issues.
Yeah, they were out here, but I'm not sure what they did other than put cones up to block the road off.
Folks who live here are hoping the flooding will dissipate before the water goes into their homes.
There's a couple streets that are like this, but this is actually the worst one, and of course that's where we live. My mother-in-law, she's missed 3 days of work, so what are we going to do about bills when people can't go to work? I just feel like people should be more prepared.
In Huron Township, I'm Priya Mann, Local 4.
All right, Priya, we have calls into the mobile home park to see if there are plans to help the people living there, but thus far we have not heard back. big weekend in Pontiac. Big crowds expected at Motor Bella, which is this year's sort of outdoor version of the auto show.
Really has been some great talk about it so far. Here's a live look at the M1 concourse on the first day of sunshine out there. It's not just the auto industry that benefits from this event. As Megan Woods reports, businesses in the area are getting a much-needed boost.
This is the weekend people and businesses in Pontiac have been waiting for, the moment to prove how much of an underdog they really are.
We really are the forgotten city. Like, Detroit has had their comeback, Flint is having their comeback, and you know, Pontiac has kind of just been like on the back burner.
Not anymore. Motor Bella is expected to bring thousands to Pontiac this weekend, and downtown businesses like Fillmore 13 Brewery recognize people will be in the area for more than a look at the auto industry.
As soon as they started talking about bringing the auto show to the M1 concourse, it was, okay, what are we doing?
And they're pulling out all the stops.
We have a new beer coming out tomorrow, so we're doing a lot of new beer releases.
It's all hands-on-deck situation. We prepared a special menu.
Even performances all week at Pontiac's Little Art Theater. The weather did put a damper on the start of the week, but with the sun shining, business is booming.
This morning I already noticed we had a line at the door before we even opened for lunch. So yeah, it's been a nice steady pickup.
The point is to show people who haven't been to Pontiac in years what they've missed.
This year has been definitely us proving ourselves. We've done a lot of like venues and live music and stuff, and it's just been nice to have people come back down here and they're like, oh, whoa, you guys are here. There's stuff happening. Like, it feels really good to just be acknowledged.
Both of those businesses that we spoke to have only been here for 5 years or less, and that is the point they really want to make here, that if you haven't been here in a while, it's a different experience. So they encourage you to take a chance and maybe even enjoy yourself and come back. In Pontiac, Megan Woods, Local 4.
A lot of cool things.
It's a cool city.
It really is fun. We've got more to come here on Local 4 News at 6.
Paul is tracking your weekend forecast.
Yeah, and you know, we have a cold front approaching tonight. That's going to spread rain into the area that you will wake up to on your Saturday morning. But coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to break that down for you hour by hour. And the kind of detail you expect from me, we're going to plan your weekend, and we'll have that for you straight ahead.
Well, they normally wouldn't be found together out in the wild. They became fast friends here at the Detroit Zoo. Meet Jebby and Lerka. Coming up next.